Let's talk about it. Come on and shout it. I talk, you talk, we talk. Women talk life. It ain't no surprise. Baby, you could see if you would open up your eyes. You won't understand if you can't open up your mind. So let's stop wasting time when women talk live.
And welcome to Women's Talk Live Overnight. It's your girl, April J.
I'm your girl, SassyScribe.
And this is K Elle Boogie.
Back in the car.
Back in the y'all.
And
Woo.
the thought,
When they say have wheels will travel, they did not know me.
they
But
did not know you.
They did
I
not.
go a Rolling Stone gathers no moss. Nobody gotta catch me.
Girl, I love your little idioms that you say. I love them because some of them I've never heard of.
That's funny. All right, y'all. So today we're talking about feminism. And today's show is actually kind of I am a feminist, but. And
Dot, dot, dot.
yeah. So an example of that is and this is a quote from someone. It says, I am a feminist, but I spent more time picking out my lipstick for this protest than making my sign.
I am a feminist, but I spent more time putting on makeup than going to the protest.
You got to look good, right? You got to look good going to the protest. You can't look all banged up because you don't know if you're going to be on TV.
What? Oh my God. That's funny.
So
That's
yeah.
funny.
But little okay, so we do start out with our WTL facts. So WTL facts is women make up 48% of entry level employees, but their share dips to 38% at the manager's level and continues to decrease the higher you go up.
Like the presidency.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Now globally, women only make 77 cents for every dollar a man earns.
Mhm. And you know what's funny? That doesn't even, that's not just when you are employed by someone else. That's also when you are your own employer. Like for
Hmm.
contracts, people try to lowball you
Hmm.
for, the things that you're doing, even when you have to, haggle or negotiate prices over your equipment and things like that in contracts. It's always the lower end of the scale, and it's a lot
Hmm.
lower for minority and people of color that are female.
So Oprah make less than say, Tyler Perry.
Well,
Mm,
I mean, there's always going to be that small percentage.
I'm gonna
I
raise
mean,
that.
it's going to be that
But
small
if you look at
percentage.
what Tyler Perry doing, because Tyler Perry owns his own studio now. Oprah does
Hmm.
not. Oprah still sits on somebody else's soundstage. Tyler Perry has his own soundstage, like Warner Brothers or what is it, MGM?
Paramount, MGM, all of
Yeah,
them. Yeah.
yep. So he has his own. So I would say in that dynamic, he does better than Oprah.
But I don't think financially.
Mm.
Some women
Mm.
just
I
just,
was, I was literally, I was just being
I
facetious.
mean, yeah,
I
I
did. I
mean,
was
in
being
that
facetious, but I
perspective,
believe that. I
yeah.
believe that these female CEOs make less, and I think the black CEOs, male or female, make even less.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we
I
have a
mean,
few. We have a
yeah.
few black CEOs, but
Yeah, because you do have some females and then you have females that are in these positions and
mm,
they're stereotyped. So they can't be too hard without being bitchy or too soft without being,
Aggressive.
oh,
emotional.
honey, and yeah, emotional. Um, but I
And then
mean,
you
you
have the
have some very
handmaid's
emotional
tale
men out
people,
here, so
the women that sabotage other women because they feel it's only one place for them, for
mhm.
one woman at the top. So that whole handmaid's tale about keeping other women, in their place while you feel like you have a different status level is, it all ties into itself, in terms of that. But there are four types of feminisms. So if you,
Okay.
identify, I don't know where the butt would come in for you, because I think I'm a feminist butt. Does that mean, wait, I don't mean a feminist ass like butt, but yeah, I'm a feminist. I would view myself as a feminist. I would view myself as a conservative feminist, though. But I would like to tell the four, if when we get a chance, I want to talk about the four types of feminism. So go ahead, April.
No, go ahead. Tell us the four
Yeah.
types.
Okay, so there's liberal feminism, which is focuses on achieving gender equality through like legal and political reforms. You have radical feminism, which is like the patriarchy, down with the patriarchy, the dismantling of it is what they want. The systems that make women subordinate or make servants of women, that is the radical feminism. You have Marxist and socialist feminism, which is interesting because now we have a New York mayor who identifies as a socialist. So I like to see how his political ideas factor out into that.
Me too.
But
Mm-hmm.
the perspective of women's oppression is about it being a capitalistic economic system. So the socialist part is where women don't get, like you were just talking, as much as men get paid, that we have to work twice as hard in order to achieve a certain lifestyle for our family, which makes it so that we have to depend on, men in order to subsidize the rest, the additional parts of our lives. And then you have the cultural feminism, which is, it emphasizes the unique qualities of women. It kind of like is, I want to say, the artsy craftsy type of feminism where it's
The
just the
creative.
appeal. Exactly. It's about the culture, and the values that are primarily feminist in nature. So those would be the four.
I would think I'm a mixture of all three. I'm extremely liberal. I am a little bit radical. I think the socialist and the cultural aspect. So I think I'm a mix of all three. I mean, of all four in some way, shape, or form. I am by no means conservative in any way, shape, or form. I had to come to
I
a come to Jesus
disagree
moment.
because look at your family structure. Like, your dad. That's what I mean by conservative. Like,
Okay.
I look at more traditional roles and I
Okay.
adhere to
All right.
that, more so than like conservative values, like the mother and the father, and somebody has to be, the hard stop in that regard. And so generally that would be, I always say, like, my husband will be the CEO of the company, but I'm the board of directors, and a good CEO doesn't do anything without listening to the board. And so that's how I look at it in terms of calling myself a conservative feminist. But
You see, I looked at that completely different, but
mhm,
I would still say I'm not as conservative, even though I grew up in a traditional family, and a lot of the people in my immediate and extended are of that traditional realm. Um, but the non-traditional would be same sex, and I don't see a problem with that. Where
yeah, I don't see a problem with that.
I think some conservatives, as we see now going on in politics, we have some conservatives that have an issue with anything that's antithetical to their theological beliefs, right? So when we look at them believing that, the man and the wife, and that's the family unit, there are other family units
Yeah.
that's not
Oh, definitely.
necessarily traditional,
Right.
you
Yeah. I mean,
know?
because I didn't grow up in a traditional mother father home. I mean, my mom was a single mom for the majority of my life. So,
Wow.
I don't really lean too much towards being conservative. I mean, I am liberal. I believe in a lot of social values. Um, and even like growing up as a PK kid, as I got older,
Tell the people
even
what
though
PK mean, y'all.
preacher's kid.
Preacher's kid.
But I mean, my mom is, when it comes to her beliefs and, kind of traditions as far as the Bible, I can't, as I got older, I started to question a lot of things. Like, everything wasn't black and white for me when it came to religion. So, I kind of, and I think that was just based on me just understanding history and questioning, okay, well, why is this? Well, if this happened, why didn't this happen? Or, so it was kind of more of like that. And even with my kids, like I had it set where I wanted them to keep an open mind about things,
Mhm.
not just let people tell you this is what it is and this is how it is, or this is, I told myself I don't care
Do
where
your
the
research.
information, yeah, like find out for yourself. Of course, I said anything, and even like when I try to, if I say something to them, I'm telling them where I got it from. I'm telling them
Trust the
this is where
Your
I said,
sources.
but I said, but it's up to you whether or not you wanted to believe it or not. Where is I can tell my mom something that I believe and she'll immediately like, no, 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 it's it. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but I just don't believe that. I
Well,
think it's,
See, when I say a conservative feminist, I'm not conservative in my overall life. I'm very liberal in my overall life. But when I talk about being a conservative feminist, I mean like I think that women can do anything. Hands
mhm.
down, if a man can do it, a woman can do it. However, I grew up with the understanding that, there was men's work, there was women's work. And from the aspect of like nurture versus nature, I've always been of the mindset like women have to have a certain attitude and things like that because how can I put this? I'll give you my best example. I used to always say that women are supposed to at least know how to cook, even if you don't enjoy cooking. And I say that because I feel like biologically, God made me to be the nurturer because I can have a baby and suckle that baby immediately and nourish that baby. And so I feel like that's my right and that's my role as a woman is to continue that throughout the duration of their necessary life. So it just so happens that I find a lot of joy in cooking, and I know there are some people who don't, but I
Mhm.
do still believe in more or less traditional role values that
Well,
make it so I don't have to take out the trash and I don't
but,
I don't have to fix the car, get an oil change. But can I get an oil change? Can I fix the car? Yes, I can change my tire. I can take out trash. I can do all of those things. I just like to sometimes hold on to the girly
okay.
privilege.
I understand that, but speaking of the fact that both of you are PK kids and we're talking about feminism, can we touch on the patriarchy within the black church when it comes to female pastors?
oh my
Uh,
gosh.
Because April, you said that your mother for a very long time was a single parent, but she's also a pastor. So how did that marry within the black church especially?
You know what?
And her
Yeah.
career of being a pastor. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right. And that was, and I think that's when that kind of started to change for me when I saw
Hmm.
where and even, my mom has witnessed male pastors saying they don't believe a woman should be behind the pulpit. A woman shouldn't be
Oh, I
preaching.
had great uncles I had great uncles that left the church when a woman
Yes.
became the
Oh yeah,
pastor.
no. I mean,
Yes.
once my mom was in a church and the pastor of the church passed, but he left for her to take over the church. And
Hmm.
she did lose members because they didn't believe in a woman behind the pulpit. And at that point, and I was actually there when they were questioning her being in a leadership role. And I
Wow.
remember, and I had to curtail myself and realize I was in a church.
Yes, indeed.
But I got up and I clearly, let them know, okay, I don't want to be following no man who don't know what the hell they talking about. I said, and
just to
if
be a
she was left, to be the next pastor, obviously she was qualified. Obviously, she was the called to preach. And some of
And you
y'all
saw
around
value
here,
in her.
yeah, I said, and some of y'all around here who are male couldn't tell me a goddamn thing.
These
And I had
brothers
to
in church.
realize where I was. And then I was just like, I had to turn around, Bob. I'm sorry. I apologize. I said, but
But you
I
know
said,
what?
I
Jesus
said,
turned over the tables in the temple, so you
exactly.
got a
I
right to
said,
be
listen,
angry if they ain't doing what they supposed to
the
do.
door's in the back. Please use it. If you don't want to be here, please use it.
And people got to understand the church is a building. The church is the people.
Exactly.
So growing up, because I'm over 50, so growing up early was a lot of pastors really could not. They said women weren't called to preach and, so
Mhm.
Hmm.
on and so forth. And I remember when we got a woman pastor in our church, and she was by far Sister Helen, Reverend, I guess, Reverend Helen Solomon. Still, I love her to death. One of the best, most stewards of the Bible type of people that I've ever met in my life.
Hmm.
And you got so many of these pastors that are male that utilize that position to malign, molest, denigrate and hurt people from that position. They live lives, they just men. And it's
Mhm.
the level of corruption. How's it go? Absolute power corrupts and absolute power corrupts.
Absolute power
So
corrupts absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was just, I mean, just with this topic, that's one of the first things that came to mind because I know how our community, and I think we might be beginning, maybe I'm wrong, but we might be beginning to get back to the roots of the church being that center for our community where we're going. We see it now with that Target boycott by Jamal Bryant or Pastor Bryant or whatever. We're beginning to see that, but I thought about that, and I remember when I think it was Reverend McKenzie became the pastor. Was it at Payne Memorial
Mhm.
in Baltimore? And my great uncle was like, and he had been a member his entire life. But the minute that woman took that pulpit, he
Yeah.
was out.
Yeah.
He was out and took all his tithing with him.
Right.
So I
But
mean that's something that we really have to think about. I think that's another reason why Kamala lost because you have a lot of brothers that just don't
they don't. They don't.
they
And
don't believe
yeah.
women, but I also think they don't like women. And I think that some of these brothers are from single family homes that may have seen their mothers have to do some things, not understanding that it was your survival that
Mhm.
she was concerned with and not necessarily her own. I mean, it just gets so much deeper
Yeah.
than
It
the
it is.
surface than what we're
It
looking at. But that feminist and being against feminism and being
right.
against women empowerment
Right. I
is
think it's a
is
lot
is
of
very
anger.
real.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yes,
lot of anger towards black women. Um
and
when we
jealousy.
save everybody,
Especially
we
yes.
save
we're
everybody.
far more
Right.
educated. We're far more, in terms of education, in terms of being in the workforce, it's a lot easier for a black woman to get hired in a management position than a black man. And so I think just that dichotomy in and of itself kind of alienates brothers from sisters. Um, Even when you look at how, from a family aspect, when back in the 80s, when they had the Contra aid and things of that nature, where you couldn't
Hmm.
have a man in the household, it impacted what your subsidies and stuff would be. So it's a lot of things that make men feel like they aren't valued, and it's men of color. I'm not speaking of others. I'm speaking of men of color. That make it feel like they're not valued and they're not worthy. So it's kind of like they pit you against each other.
But that's the white
With
patriarchy that did that.
exactly,
Mhm. Yeah.
exactly, kind of like
Right.
the house in the field.
You know, Claudine was the perfect example of that. Whenever James Earl Jones was there, they had
Yes.
to remove the iron and the ironing board, and he
Right.
had to every luxury, which were
Yeah.
just basic household necessities,
Right.
she had to get rid of when
Exactly.
social services came over, and most especially the man. And I think that was all. I tell people, I know I've been saying this from day one of us doing this, from even when we do the TV show.
Mhm.
Black people have always been the goal for everything,
Yeah.
for everything. These other
Yeah,
groups and subsets of individuals, it's low hanging fruit. The goal, I believe, you can quote me, not quote me, I believe is to re enslave Black people. Everything that's being done today.
I mean, in a lot of ways, I don't think slavery ever left black
and this,
people. I really
That
don't.
exactly.
I think
I
the
stand corrected. You're
mentality
right.
of the way we are, the way we think, um, and
how we
even how
can't
we
come
are
together.
amongst our own communities. I
Hmm.
mean, we did a show on light skinned, dark skinned females. And
Hmm.
I mean, just in general, like we look at each other different. So I mean, I think the enslavement is just it's still there. The segregation is still there. And we just tend to at on some levels accept it. Um and if we don't, then we're labeled as, you know, pretty much terrorists. You
Difficult.
know,
We
they,
are.
I mean, the fact that case in point, in DC, they had a whole street with Black Lives Matter. But because one white person senator had an issue with it, Mayor Bowser decided, oh, we're just going to pave
They,
over
she
it. And
she
I'm
didn't
like,
pave over. She ripped the whole road up instead of just
yes,
painting the road.
right. And I'm saying to myself, why are you letting a senator who's not even from the District of Columbia tell you? And then she's gonna say, well, there's bigger the issues. What bigger
What bigger
issues?
issues?
Like,
I'm tired of black people always, and especially Democrats. I'm tired of them always giving in. They need to stand
mhm,
10 toes
Oh,
down.
for
Like
real.
Gavin Newsom
Yeah.
is 10 toes down on his shit. He is
Yep.
10 toes down, regardless of what people like Gavin or not. Gavin ain't playing.
yeah.
And I applaud him and I like him for doing that. And I think as a people, case in point, the Essence Festival just took $300,000 from Target.
Mhm.
No, the Southern
Nothing.
Leadership Conference just took $300,000 from Target, and then in turn, the Essence Festival just got sponsored by Target. At some point, we have to say no,
Right.
thank you,
Yeah.
no.
Right.
Yeah. We
All
got
money
to.
ain't good money, and I mean that at some
Exactly.
point we have to realize that as a community, we need to stand together. We can do it with Target because I'm
Mhm.
never shopping at
So
Target again. They
hard.
Mm-mm.
never shopping there, and I
No.
haven't been in
It's
Walmart
so
since
hard for us.
2018.
Yeah, I haven't been in either one of them. Either one of them. And because I'm
Yeah, I
like,
haven't gone.
you're not gonna tell me if I earn my money, you ain't gonna tell me where to spend it.
Spend it.
So, but we just tend to be like, I'm just one person. But no,
No, no.
it's not that. But that's where the enslavement mentality that we have, and we don't realize the type of power that we have.
But
The
that's what
other
I was
folks
gonna
know it.
say.
They know it.
When you look at the GDP for the United States, the main procurer of the GDP is minority individuals. But
Hmm.
also, you have to understand that a lot of people are not educated on the fact of what black wealth looks like, of what black sustainability looks like, on the fact that, things like Wall Street and Tulsa, Oklahoma, all of those things existed and we thrive, but we're always taught that we need them instead of being the other way around about they need us. We've always been taught, even when you did the issues on segregation, with, the water in a water cooler for white was clean and pristine and cold and things of that nature, and the dirty unkept one was for colored people. Like everything that they gave us was so
Hmm.
substandard that when we look at what they have, it's like, well, I want that. It was never separate but equal. If it was separate but equal, we would have been able to maintain our own things, our own dignity. You have black people that make
But
toilet paper, but people still buy Procter and Gamble and Charmin and all of those things. You have black people that make everything that we need. Black people make it. There are
toothbrushes,
websites that
laundry
exist.
detergent. There's actually a
Yeah,
subscription
there's
box that
websites.
my cousin subscribes to that, and she
Everything.
receives toothpaste and she receives toilet paper and laundry detergent and other sustainable paper towels, all of
Yeah.
these other things that we use. And you
Even if you
mentioned
want to
Black
go to
Wall Street.
McDonald's,
You
McDonald's
mentioned
have
Black.
black owners. You know what I
Well,
mean? Different places that are franchises have black owners. Go to that particular. If you want to go to a McDonald's, go to that McDonald's where the black
but
person
see,
owns it.
Kim, is too much. It's too much effort for us to Google black-owned McDonald's or
Right.
KFCs or whatever franchise that you enjoy. It's
Right.
too much effort for us to say, let me Google these
No,
places.
that's a cop. I wouldn't give our people that. I think
No, no, no.
our
I'm just
people
saying, but they
die
don't
from
do
lack
it.
of knowledge.
Some
They
people
don't
don't
do
do
it.
it. They
They
don't.
don't do it. They can do it.
They
They
can.
don't do. I
Yeah.
found a black-owned farm about an hour away that I am trying to convince my family to buy the cow this fall because
And
they only
butcher it
do it
up.
like twice a year and split the
Give me the
cow up.
info.
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Give
It's
me
in
the
it's in Upper
info.
Marlboro, but I'll send it to you. But you can
Yeah.
buy a cow. You can buy the turkey. You can do all. You can buy the pig if you eat pork.
Hmm.
You can buy these animals in bulk, but do it as a collective and do it as a family.
Right.
And that's one of the things
Exactly.
I think COVID for bringing my family back together because we were all kind of doing our own thing. But now it's like, listen, I found this place. Let's do this. Like we all have these favorite sheets that we buy from Macy's. They're $115 regularly. They're on sale for $27, and I just ordered 2 sets. I'll send them to y'all too.
Oh, send me the link.
Like
Yeah.
Send me the
Definitely
link.
submit it.
1,200 thread count
Oh,
sheets.
nice. Okay.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
I need to
Yeah.
those are the things that we do. And I don't think that, that as a community, you mentioned Black Wall Street, KL, and we had it and they
We
didn't
did.
like it and they burnt
And
it.
they burned it to the ground.
They burned it.
right.
Rosewood,
Oh,
they burned it.
that's,
So
Yeah.
we
we
can
have a
have
little
our
legacy
things,
of
but
success.
how do we gatekeep it? How do we gatekeep
That's
it
the
without
thing.
them coming in and destroying it?
Because they don't want us to have, because if we do have our own, then that
Ooh,
takes away
Wakanda
from
forever.
them.
Wakanda
Exactly.
forever.
Exactly. So
Well,
it's
if you
like,
want to remember how treacherous America can be when they don't like what black people do in terms of sustainability, you can look at the Move movement in Philly where they dropped a bomb on an occupied city block and
Yep,
killed women, men, and children.
and
So
children.
the system itself isn't designed for us to be successful. But I think that
Nope.
we're at a different place now, whereas we're so cognizant of, and when I say we, I mean if woke is still a
The
word,
collective.
um, the collective, thank you, that really understand and really try, even if 80% of your business doesn't go to minorities, if you're focused and you're trying to send 20% of your business somewhere, that helps at least 20%. It's a lot of
Hmm.
things that we're not necessarily able to do because we don't have the power as of yet. But I think that if collectively we start focusing on the things that we're supposed to do, you know, even Verizon, when having the restaurant and things like that, I need a black rep. And I know that you work on commission, but you have to have a, well, it's assigned by territory. Well, it's got to be a person of color in this territory because I feel like they understand my needs. And I'll
Hmm.
never forget when I was working at Care First, I worked for a guy, I won't say his name, but I worked for him. And to be honest, I really loved our relationship because he kept it 100 with me. And he said that when he does business, he would prefer to do business with a white man because he feels like they have more in common. He understands them, they understand him, and that's who he prefers to do business with. And then there was the Asian guy that said, I'll drive an extra mile out of my way to do business with another Asian guy over somebody who's not Asian. And so I think that mindset was taught to everybody else but us. And
Accept
that
us.
would be
hmm
exactly, and that would be the issue. That's the issue that I see in terms of us being able to do the things that we need to do.
right.
Because
And
Right.
I think
if
it's
we
some of the
could do
experiences
it,
that I think it's some of the experiences that we have had with us
Yeah.
not being about our business,
Right.
that instead of trying to give people pointers like, listen, I've called you, I'm really trying to do business with you, I like what it is, what you do, but your customer service,
Yeah.
your
yep,
follow up, your
Right.
follow through, and that's going to drive me to the next melanated individual.
hmm
And I'm not going to be willing to recommend you,
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
you
And that's
know?
what that's in every industry. Because
Yes.
even some of the clients that I have, um, I don't do more for one and not the other. Like
Right.
I let them know that I value their service. And, I will go over and beyond, because my thing is, if I get a referral, I usually get a referral from somebody who has worked with me in the past.
Right.
So I think as black women in any type of industry, because even industry that I'm in outside of media,
Hmm.
I tend to want to give 110% because it's like, okay, even though somebody else may not be doing it, but I'm like, nah, I got to do what I need to do to get what I need to get done. And I mean, and then, sometimes I see other counterparts, male, whether they be black or white, that tend to be like, okay, well, and then I'll come and be like, well, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, okay, I'm working 10 times harder, but you're making way more money than
Your
me.
money, yeah, right,
So,
right. That's one of the disparities of being a woman.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
The
another
whole being a
thing.
woman thing.
yeah.
It's hard when you have your own thing and people don't come to you, your own people. Like, I hate seeing people that say, well, I tried this business and I'll never try another black business again. But you don't do that with white businesses. You don't do
Right.
Nope,
that with,
nope.
non-white business, non-black businesses, I'll say. But for a black business, if you go to one black restaurant and the service is shitty, like, I'll never go to another black restaurant. Why the hell not?
Right.
Like, and some people could just be having a bad day. A lot of times people don't understand when they do those blasts where they're like, okay, I found this restaurant, you know, women's talk restaurant, and it's, great. And then you get 30 people that show up on a day that you're normally, serving 10 people. And then those 20 people get mad because you don't have the product
The
enough for them to,
staff or the product.
yeah, to
Hmm.
staff the product, anything, because you weren't expecting that. And there's no grace given to minority businesses.
Nope.
We
Yeah.
don't get loans the way that, white counterparts do. A lot of times, they, for people who are starting their business that are minorities, they're keeping full time jobs, which is really hard to have a full time job and try to operate a business full time. It's hard to do that. And so, just the disparity alone in terms of how we're treated, how we're rated in terms of credit, the ability to do the things, we really have to get back to the Afrocentric we instead of the Eurocentric I. That has to happen.
Hey,
And if where if we don't
Okay.
do that, we're never going to be able to do anything outside of be victims to our circumstances. So,
Yeah.
yes,
Oh man.
indeed.
So
Wow,
this
that went
time,
quick.
yeah, time went by fast. Oh my
That went
gosh.
quick.
All right.
Woo.
So, this week poll we are asking, do you consider yourself a feminist? Whether male or female, or if you're male, do you sympathize with feminists? So, that's our this week's poll. For last week's show, our last week's poll was, have you ever been tricked by AI? So, based on the answers, 77% encountered AI generated misinformation.
Wow.
oh yeah, I
That's
see that every
scary.
day, all day.
That's the
77%.
same. That's the same
And the
percentage
other
of married
23%,
men in dating apps.
Oh,
the 23% don't realize they're being lied to because anything the politicians put online is AI generated
yeah.
lies.
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Scary.
Yeah,
Very,
we need to
very
raise that
scary.
percentage.
Yeah. All right,
Wow.
y'all. So, we're going to wrap this up. So our final thought of the day. Another good one for you.
Uh-oh.
I'm not a bitch, just a teller of unfortunate truths.
Okay.
No
Yeah.
lies told.
Sorry,
Great
not sorry.
quotation.
Sorry, not sorry.
Not sorry. All right, y'all.
Wow.
All right, y'all. This is Women's Talk Live overnight with your girl April J.
I'm your girl, Sassy Scribe.
And this is K Elle.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all next time.
Peace.
Bye.
Women talk, women